everybody, I'm Gracie.
And I'm Ann.
And we are Little Things, Big Difference. And this is the place where we talk about all the little things that make a big difference in your life. So today we're going to be talking about how to clear your head.
Yes, clearing your head. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of things that move through my head every single day and even in the night. And several years ago, I actually read a book called Getting Things Done by David Allen. And it gave me such clarity in all of the things that are kind of swirling around my head and how that creates muddled thinking. And at that time, I had a lot of muddled thinking, just not able to really see clearly what the next step was and what the path forward was and how to even prioritize the things that I was trying to get done. And so the crux of the book is this, that David Allen says that we have all of these loops in our brain, these thought loops that basically are open thoughts or open things that we need to get done. And the more open projects that we have, the more of these open loops that we have in our brain. And the interesting thing is that the brain was not necessarily created in a way that just keeps open and multitasks all of these many different things. Like it needs to process things and then categorize it and give it order and things like that. And so what he promotes in his book, Getting Things Done, is an organizational system that helps you begin to close some of those loops in your brain so you have more clarity of thought. Because when you begin to close some of those to-do lists, then you begin to really see the priority of the things that you have to do next. And so one of the things that he says early on in the book to begin this process of gaining clarity is to do what he calls a brain dump, which the first time I did a brain dump was so freeing and intimidating. And basically what you're doing in a brain dump is you're figuring out what are all of the open loops in your head and how can we put that in an organizational system that helps me prioritize those and determine the next actions that I need to take on those, because some of those things you may not even need to move on really quickly, but they're still kind of cycling through your head and giving you and contributing to that muddy thinking. And so in a brain dump, basically you're taking all of the information from your head, whether it's, things at work or things personally or relationally or things in your family, and you're putting it all down into an organizational system that helps your brain process it and make sense of it. And it is so amazingly freeing.
Yes, so we are actually going to do a brain dump together.
Yes.
So we're going to need two things. So you want to get a bunch of index cards. I'm talking like a bunch of index cards or some sheets of paper, just whatever you have handy. And the next thing you're going to need is something to write with, so a pen or pencil. And so what we're going to do is we're going to read through a bunch of different categories for you, and you're going to write down everything that comes to your mind in that category that you need to get done. Even if it's like the smallest thing, like, oh, I didn't take out the trash today. Or if it's the biggest thing, like you have a huge project coming up at work. Any of those kinds of things, you want to make sure that you write those down because those are ongoing loops in your head. And we're going to move through them decently quickly, so make sure that you pause in between each of these little tips so that you can write down everything that comes to your mind, because the more you write down, the better. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Anne, you want to take us away?
Absolutely. So for most of us, the area that cycles through our brains most is work-related stuff. So like Gracie said, every single item, it needs to be one item per index card.
Yes.
And here's how we'll start. Everything work-related that you can think of. So these might include calls that you need to make, emails that you need to send, big projects you're working on, could be deadlines, meetings, next steps that you need toward goals, anything work-related. Write down one item per index card.
Yeah, and so the second thing are house-related tasks. So I feel like second to work-related is going to be your house-related task, at least for me. So while we're reading this, write down everything that comes to your mind, house-related tasks. So these could be chores that need to be done, repairs that need to be made, improvements you'd like to do, cooking, cleaning, etc. Anything related to upkeep and improvement of your household. So go ahead and write those down, one per index card or one per line on your piece of paper.
So the next thing that we want to look at is family needs. Family needs. So this is anything that relates to your family. Could be school commitments that your kids have. Could be date nights that you want to have or want to schedule. Could be family visits that you need to make, phone calls that you need to make, birthday cards, helping with homework, gifts to buy, people to see, maybe vacations that you want to take or vacation plans that you need to make, all of those, anything that has to do with your family.
And the next one is health and fitness. So these could be doctor's appointments that you need to make, gym classes that you want to sign up for, or a gym membership that you want to sign up for, but you keep forgetting to do so. Prescription refills, healthy eating, meal planning, anything like that. So anything health and fitness related, be sure to write those down.
The next area is friends and colleagues. So these could be work colleagues, these could be friends that you've had for a long time. Think about thank you notes that you need to write, get-togethers that you want to have or that you already have planned. What are the things that you need to do there? Maybe lunches or appointments that you need to schedule with these friends, or people that have kind of just become disconnected and you've been meaning to get in contact with.
The next topic is errands to do. So this might be shopping, paying the bills, things you need to drop off or pick up that need to be repaired. Maybe you need to take your car to the shop, anything like that. So any errands that you need to run, go ahead and write those down.
The next area, actually I have a lot in this area.
Yeah, you do.
Books, articles, and education. So these are things like podcast recommendations that somebody told you about, or books that you've wanted to read for a long time, or articles that you've been wanting to read, or little emails that you get with good information that you've kept in your inbox because you know that's going to be important. Or maybe a class that you've been wanting to take, or an online course or curriculum that you want to begin.
The next topic is hobbies and entertainment. So what are things that you need in order to do the fun things that you have planned this month? What are movies you want to see, maybe some places that you want to go, and just what are some fun things that you want to do? What are some hobbies that you enjoy? So go ahead and write all of those down.
Yeah. And then the last category is other. What are the things that you have going on in your life that we don't know about, that we haven't mentioned? And a lot of times these kinds of things will come up as a result of or kind of related to some of these other categories. So if there's anything else that really is kind of on your heart, on your mind, that you think is kind of cycling through your brain, go ahead and write that down and get it down on paper. And then what we're going to do is you're going to take those index cards and you're going to begin to create to-do lists from those index cards. And in the book, Getting Things Done, David Allen gives a lot of detail about these to-do lists. I'm just really going to talk about 3 of them, but he's got some great organizational tips for developing these to-do lists and even creating filing systems and things like that around some of the other information that you have kind of gathered. But the 3 to-do lists that I really want to encourage you to create as a result of this brain dump, the first one is next actions. So if you have any cards that are things that you need to go ahead and accomplish quickly, that are the next action that you need to take in terms of moving a project forward, go ahead and create a next actions list and put all of those items on your list. And then the next list that I want you to create is the waiting for list. So for those of us who end up delegating a lot of responsibility or giving other tasks over to people that we then have to wait on, sometimes that creates an open loop in your brain. You can't do anything about it, but you're still waiting on somebody else to do something about it. So create a waiting for list whenever you hand off a project or a task or something like that to somebody else. And that way you can keep track of it and come back to it to say, oh yeah, that was completed, and then I can remove that finally from my list. And then the last one that I want to talk to you guys about is the someday maybe list.
Yes.
And I love the someday maybe list because maybe you put on your card a vacation that you would love to take that you've been thinking about, but you know that you're not ready to take that vacation. Well, go ahead and write it down and put it on a someday maybe list. And then every so often, about once a month, come back to that someday maybe list and say, hey, is it time? Is someday maybe today? Is it time to begin to do something about some of these someday maybe projects? So those are 3 of the lists that David Allen recommends in his book. There are plenty of others, and I encourage you, if you get into this system, I encourage you to check out those resources and those other lists as well.
Yeah, and we're actually going to link his website and his book and
Yeah.
the resources that Anne's talking about in this post. So just below this video, you can visit those links there. And it's really good to do this brain dump about once a month or so, just so that you don't have just newly developing loops in your brain. So you want to continue to do that brain dump. So if you have tried this out, we would love to hear from you in the comments. Let us know how it's been for you. And for more little things that make a big difference, be sure to like this video, comment below, and subscribe to Little Things Big Difference on YouTube. And also be sure to visit us at the Chapel Online on Facebook and Instagram. And we look forward to hearing about how this has made a big difference in your life.